Happy Monday. So today's title on my on Facebook Live is "The School's on Fire, and So Am I," and of course, all for different reasons. So it's not much, just typical lunch. Had to head across the street to the liquor store because there wasn't really too much of a good selection when it came to stuff at the lunch table today. Usually lunches are free here. Actually, they always are free. It's basically what I decide to eat and not eat. And today I just didn't feel like eating, whatever was out there. It wasn't really that appealing to me, so I said, fine, whatever. So currently I'm just kind of hanging out for lunch, and then of course then the fires resume as soon as I clock back in. This morning, so I don't know if you guys do subscribe to me on Instagram. I posted a picture of a bag with a bunch of envelopes in it, and as part of the beginning of the school year protocol, I am in charge of assigning 455 Chromebooks to 455 kids. There's a process to it, and it took almost 2 months to do the process to all culminate into like one day. Well, there's an issue here. One of the biggest issues that I am foreseeing here is the lack of communication that I have with the people who are in charge of scheduling. So, I have to create things. I have to create a process in which certain things have to be done. But because I have no awareness as to the time frame that the students and teachers have to perform said tasks, I sometimes run the risk of certain things not being done. Fortunately, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise, but for some reason, my administration didn't realize that on Mondays, the schedules are different, which I would think that they would know because they wrote them, but don't quote me. And so certain things in the schedule had to be moved around, and then it was fine. Well, that's all good and dandy, but I'm also realizing quickly that I'm starting to pinpoint the people that I have to be a little bit more careful in terms of who I give instructions to. Because it's like I can write, and I wrote this beautiful guide on how to do it, and this process and stuff like that. But in the hustle and bustle and things, is that sometimes even the best instructions don't get read. And in this case, unfortunately, instructions are the crux of getting this entire process done. But I'm hoping that things are going to work out this week. The schedule of students is going to be jumbled around again this week, and there's just a lot going on, and I'm also realizing too is that I have to begin to fight back against restrictions that really have not been placed by administration. As in, there are certain things like I had mentioned that there's a particular war on the 2 printers we have at school, and as you know, my stance on this is that I am a big believer in making sure that teachers have the tools to do their job. In this case, we have 2 printers in our school. One of them is the black and white printer that lives in the teacher's lounge. And then the second one is the color laser copier machine that lives in the main office. And I was requested by someone who is not administration to restrict teachers from using the main office printer. And I'm going, that doesn't sound right. First off, the people that I would listen to in terms of things that you're allowed to do and not allowed to do, that all goes back to administration. And so when I received this email, and it was only given to me and not copied to administration, that just raised an automatic red flag. It's like, wait a minute, we're in a school here, and we're supposed to be direct, and supposed to have a good line of communication as to what's going on in the school. And I think that when I start seeing stuff like that, that's just a little fishy. So I talked to one of the people in administration, and that person was like, yeah, send me that email. Let's talk about it. And I said, sure, I'll send you that email and talk about it. And so I sent it and added a little bit of an explanation to the whole thing. And lo and behold, we're going to see what's going to happen here. There might be a policy change. And us people who have been here long enough to have seen, pardon my French, the complete bullshit that happens when people try to step around others instead of trying to collaborate and, work together to actually make this school work. It's such negative energy, and it has to be fixed. There are lots of things that maybe, there's a policy that was put in place technology-wise that needs to be adjusted, and I'm completely flexible to it if it makes sense. But you have to give me reasoning why it makes sense. For example, there is absolutely no reason why a teacher should not be allowed to use a printer, especially if the other printer is broken. It's just an opinion of mine. It's kind of like the equivalent of saying, yeah, you know what, the Diet Coke is not working on the soda machine, but yeah, you're not allowed to use it, and I don't have time to change it, so you can't use it anyway, and it just gets ridiculous. So anyway, that's my fire for just Monday. That's all I got for Monday. I'm hoping that, as soon as school's over, I'll just go straight home and clean the rats. So there might be a Facebook Live later, asking you guys to watch my rats, because sometimes they get out. I think the last time I had the rats on Facebook Live babysitting, around 52 minutes in, I think Patch escaped and ended up on the floor. It happens. You have to watch long enough, but sometimes they get out. Anyway, so that's the long and short. I mean, really not too much going on. Aside from that, I have a couple things that I have to fulfill, but when we're taking, and I walked in on surprise, we're having an online test today, and I'm going, are you kidding me? And I had to support the 6th and 7th grade classes in their testing, which also involved computers and all sorts of things, which I'm not even going to get into because it's just a lot of complicated stuff that fortunately I have covered already, and I had backup equipment ready to go. But yeah, it would be really helpful. Obviously I'm never going to really share these videos with anyone else, but I will say this straight out. It really helps, especially as IT, as the first line of defense in terms of making sure all your shit works. It would be extremely helpful if you told me what was going on. That much. That would make that much of a difference. No, actually, it would make this much of a difference, because I can't run blind. I mean, I can run blind, but it won't be in the direction you might like. You don't want that. Anyway, if you were on yesterday, I had a chance to head over to Anaheim and go to Anaheim Ice and watch the final of the top division of ice hockey for the 2007 World Fire and Police and Fire Games. That was really, really cool. It was between Montreal and Moscow police departments, and it got pretty chippy at the end. People were just getting crunched and checked and all sorts of things. I was really thinking, I think Montreal was considered to be the underdog in this one, and I thought they were going to pull through because they scored first, and then it tied, and then Russia scored again, and anyway, final score was 4-2 in regulation. It was a fun one to watch. I'm still experimenting, though, with Facebook Live and trying to improve, video quality and things like that. This was very impromptu, so a lot of the footage came off of my iPad or my cell phone, and it looked like my cell phone had better management with low light, because it was a pretty dark area that we were in, especially up in the stands. So if you guys watched that, I'm glad you did. Try to put some interesting stuff online that's a lot more fun than what's going on in the news right now, because I really don't even want to think about that. I want to think about puppies and kitties and Captain Von Trapp. I'm good with that. Anyway, I'm just chiming in to say hi. I got about, I don't know how many minutes left in my lunch break. My phone will scream at me when it's time for me to clock in and pretend I, care. And, but this is a short one today. It's Monday, but I'll have more this week. If you have any questions, comments, throw them down in the comments there, and I'll get back to you. And, stay cool. Try to avoid the bullshit. We're doing our best here. So I'll talk to y'all later.